My mother said it in front of his entire family, which is how I know it wasn't a slip. We were standing in the private dining room at Meridian, my father's choice, my credit card on file for the deposit, when she steered the conversation toward introductions. My sister's fiancé's parents had just arrived, still loosening their coats from the January cold, and my mother took it upon herself to guide them through the room. She pointed to my aunt, my uncle, 2 cousins, the woman my father had worked with for 20 years. Then she reached me, paused for exactly half a second, and said, "And this is Hazel, my older one. She's not in the wedding. We kept the bridal party very intimate, but she wanted to be here tonight." She smiled at them, not at me, at them, and then she moved on. I was standing 4 feet away. I had arranged this room. My credit card was on file at the front desk, a hold already placed for the full evening. My parents' catering company had handled the past appetizers, and the dessert display set up along the back wall. Smoked salmon on cucumber rounds, my father's lemon tarts, the bruschetta my mother made by muscle memory. And my name was still the registered agent on the LLC that made that catering company a legal entity. 14 days later, she would open a certified letter from the state of Georgia that she was not expecting. I have known for a long time that I am the kind of daughter my family considers useful rather than visible. I am the one who researched estate attorneys when my grandfather's health declined. The one who spent 40 minutes on hold with the insurance company after my father's van got hit in a parking lot because he said he didn't have patience for the phone tree. The one who 4 years ago drove to my parents' house on a Sunday afternoon with my laptop, a legal pad, and a full working knowledge of Georgia business formation law, and helped them turn a catering side business into Ridgeway Catering LLC, a real company with real structure, real insurance, and a commercial kitchen lease that their credit score alone would not have secured. I became the registered agent. I became a co-member on the operating agreement, not because I wanted ownership, but because the bank required 2 signatures to open the business account, and they needed mine. My credit score backed the personal guarantee on the kitchen lease, a 5-year commitment that had allowed them to grow from backyard graduation parties to corporate luncheons and full wedding receptions. The business grossed just under $400,000 last year. My name was on all of it. None of that came up during introductions. I sat through the dinner. I smiled at the right moments. I ate the bruschetta and listened to stories about the June wedding venue. A vineyard 2 hours south, beautiful apparently, deposit already placed. I ordered the halibut. I finished 1 glass of wine slowly enough that no one refilled it. When my mother flagged me down at the end of the evening and said casually to the remaining table, "Hazel always takes care of the check, she's so good at that," I handed my card to the server without a word. I drove home in silence, 90 minutes, radio off. My apartment is small in the way I chose, not the way it happened to me. Hardwood floors, 1 bedroom, a kitchen I actually use. I live in Midtown and I work at a litigation firm 2 blocks over. I am not extravagant. What I am is organized, the kind of organized that comes from years of managing things other people left half finished. I sat at my kitchen table until well past midnight. The takeout I'd grabbed on the way home sat mostly uneaten. I opened my laptop and navigated to the Georgia Secretary of State's public business filing database. I typed in Ridgeway Catering LLC. Registered agent, Hazel Morrow, co-member, Hazel Morrow. Right there. Indexed and searchable. Permanently linked to a business where my most recent public acknowledgement had been the one who takes care of the check. I texted my friend Pax, "You up?" He called instead, he always calls. "What happened?" he asked. "My mother introduced me as the one who isn't in the wedding," I said, in front of his whole family, 4 feet away from me. A long pause. "You drove 90 minutes for that." "I drove 90 minutes for that." "What are you going to do?" I told him. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said, "Do you want me to talk you out of it?" "No." "Then I won't, but call your attorney first, do it right." I called her at 8:15 the next morning. She had an appointment open at noon. She always does for clients who sound like they've already made a decision. I sat across from her desk, clean surface, stacked folders, 2 framed bar licenses on the wall, and explained the situation. She listened without expression. "The registered agent change is the simplest part," she said when I finished. "Standard amendment with the state. Processing time 7 to 10 business days. Co-membership takes more. You'll want a formal amendment to the operating agreement. Are your parents likely to contest?" "They're more likely to panic," I said. "Then we move methodically. What else?" "The kitchen lease. I'm the personal guarantor. Renewal is in 6 weeks. I want to formally notify the property management company that I'm stepping down from the guarantee." She nodded slowly. "That creates pressure on the business." "Yes." "You're prepared for the fallout?" I arranged the party where my mother announced my sister's engagement last night, I said, and she introduced me as someone who showed up uninvited. Yes, I'm prepared. She came close to smiling, then let's map it out. I left her office with a checklist and a timeline. I filed the registered agent change that afternoon. I called the property management company the next morning and spoke with the leasing agent on record. I explained that I would not be renewing my personal guarantee when the lease came up for renewal. She took the note. She mailed written confirmation. I filed it in a folder labeled Correspondence, which I placed in the drawer beside the operating agreement I had drafted on that Sunday 4 years earlier. Then I waited and let the paperwork do what paperwork does. Day 3, 2 missed calls from my mother, no voicemails. Day 4, a text from my sister. Hey, can you call when you get a chance? No rush at all. I replied, busy this week. I'll reach out soon. Friendly, true. Day 5, my father texted. Your mom says she can't reach you. Everything all right? I wrote back. Everything's fine. Work has been busy. Also true. Day 7, Georgia processed the registered agent change. By 3 p.m., my mother had called 4 times. I was at my desk reviewing a deposition summary when the calls came in. I watched the screen light and go dark. I turned it face down and finished the paragraph I was reading. The voicemail arrived at 4:47 p.m. My mother's voice, careful and measured, the tone she uses when she's still gathering information before deciding how angry to be. Hazel, we received something from the state about the business. It says the registered agent has changed. I don't know what that means, but there must be some kind of administrative error. Please call me back and help us understand what's happening. Not an error. Pack sent me a photo of a very large dog wearing a tiny birthday hat. No caption. I laughed for the first time all week. The second voicemail came the next morning. My father's voice, lower, slower, the deliberate calm he deploys when he wants to sound like the reasonable one. Hazel, I heard from your mother about the business filing. I'd like to understand what you're doing before we all get upset. Please call me tonight. I think we can work through whatever this is. That same afternoon, the kitchen property management company sent written notice to my parents, confirming that the personal guarantor had given notice of non-renewal and that the upcoming lease term would need to be renegotiated with the primary tenants directly. The voicemail I received 20 minutes after that was not calm. The kitchen, the property company called us. Hazel, we have a full spring booked. We have 4 weddings in May alone. Do you understand what this does to us? Call me right now. I brewed tea. I opened the novel I'd been meaning to finish for 2 weeks. 8:13 p.m., a text from my sister. I'm worried about you. Also a little worried about Mom. Is there anything I can do? I replied, I'm okay. Mom will be okay too. This just needs to work itself out. She sent a single heart back. I believed it. My attorney sent a formal letter the next day, professional, no emotional charge, confirming my intent to step down as co-member, reiterating the non-renewal of the personal guarantee. She copied the property management company as a courtesy. That evening, my doorbell rang. Not the buzzer from downstairs, someone had let her into the building. My mother was standing in the hallway in her good coat and her good earrings on a Tuesday, looking like she'd been somewhere that expected more of her. I was in sweatpants. I opened the door. We need to talk, she said. I've been available to talk for several days, I said. She moved past me into the apartment with the look she gets in spaces that aren't hers, scanning, cataloging, briefly registering the plant I haven't repotted since October, the stack of books on the coffee table. She sat on the edge of the couch and held her bag in her lap like she wasn't planning to stay. Hazel, I don't understand what we did to make you want to do this. I know you don't, I said. We have clients, we have commitments, events booked through. You have 6 weeks before the lease renewal, I said. The management company is straightforward. Your payment history there is excellent. I made sure of that. You'll likely need a cash security deposit in place of a personal guarantee or a different cosigner. Your business can support either. She stared at me. You researched this. I researched everything when I built your business, I said. I'm still doing it. That part doesn't change. She was quiet. I watched the different versions of herself cycle behind her eyes, which approach still had purchase. Is this about the party? She asked. The party was the most recent thing, I said. It's been building longer than that. I introduced you to everyone. You told his family I wasn't in the wedding, 4 feet away from me. Then at the end of the evening, you told the same table that I was good at taking care of the check. I paused. I arranged that dinner, Mom. I held the reservation on my card. Her mouth opened. Something shifted in her expression, not quite softness, but the beginning of it. After everything your father and I have. I'm not asking you to apologize for everything, I said. I'm telling you that the arrangement where I do foundational work for this family and get acknowledged as a footnote, that arrangement is over. The refrigerator hummed, a car horn sounded twice outside, then faded. She looked at her hands. The engagement party deposit, she said finally. That's still on your card. The event already happened. I'll pay it. That's not what this is. Your sister's venue deposit is in my sister's name, I said. My card on file, my relationship with my sister is intact. Nothing changes there unless something changes there. She absorbed that, stood slowly, picked up her bag. At the door, she paused with her hand on the frame and looked at me for a long moment, searching for something. Whatever version of me she was looking for, I don't think she found her. She left without saying goodbye. I heard the elevator at the end of the hall. I stood in my kitchen for a long time after that, not moving, just being still in a space that was entirely mine. The city moved outside my window the way cities do, indifferent and ongoing, and I let it. Over the following days, the messages changed shape. The urgency drained out slowly, and something softer took its place, not quite an apology, but the texture of one. My mother, I've been thinking about what you said, a lot. My father by email, because he prefers the formality when he's building a case for himself. Your mother and I want you to know that you matter to us deeply. I know we don't always show it the right way. We've spoken with an attorney about the business. We're going to work it out. I hope we can also talk soon as a family. I read both. I sat with them. I didn't reply right away. What I did instead was write a list at my kitchen table. Not strategy, just a quiet accounting of things that were true. I wrote, I helped build a business and was introduced as an afterthought at its own event. I wrote, I drove 90 minutes to be called someone who showed up but didn't quite belong. I wrote, I have spent years making it easy to be overlooked, and they made it easy for me to keep doing that. I stopped and looked at what was on the page. Then I added one more line, I don't owe anyone an apology for finally understanding what I'm worth. My sister came over on a Saturday morning with coffee from the good place 2 blocks away, the kind that's still warm when you hand it over. She sat across from me at my kitchen table and looked tired in the way that meant she'd been in the middle of things for 2 weeks. Mom told me she came to your apartment, she said. She did. How did that go? She asked about your venue deposit at the door, I said. My sister looked at me steadily. Are you going to cancel it? No, I said, that's your wedding. She let out a long breath, set her coffee down. I know this isn't about me. It isn't. But I know you've been carrying things, she said, for a long time, for all of us. I looked at her, younger than me by 4 years, still somehow always the one the room arranged itself around. She wasn't asking me to come back to anything, she was just saying she saw it. Thank you, I said, and I meant it completely. The LLC amendment was finalized the following week. I received the confirmation from the state in a clean email, the amended document attached. My name no longer appeared anywhere in the filing. The kitchen lease had been renegotiated directly. My sister mentioned it in passing, that my parents had gone to the management company, offered a cash security deposit, and gotten the lease through in their business name alone. It had worked out exactly as I said it would. It usually does when people are finally required to handle their own things. My mother called on a Wednesday evening, I answered. I've been thinking, she said. Her voice was lower than I was used to, less rehearsed. Okay, I said. I said things at the party, and probably other times, that I wouldn't say if I stopped to think. I don't always stop to think. I know, I said. I don't want you to feel like you're in the background of this family, she said. That's not what you are to us. I sat with that for a moment. Outside my window, the city made its usual sounds. Traffic, someone's music from a passing car, a siren that rose and faded before it got close. Then let's try something different, I said. That's all I'm asking. Okay, she said quietly. We talked for another 15 minutes about nothing consequential. My sister's dress fitting. A cousin's new apartment in Phoenix. The kind of talking that means things are still standing. When we hung up, there was something in my chest that wasn't quite peace but was in the same neighborhood as it. I stood at my window with the last of a glass of wine and looked at the street below. The way the evening light caught the glass fronts of the buildings across the way, the people moving through in their coats, the whole ordinary motion of a city that didn't know what had just shifted in this apartment and didn't need to. I thought about that Sunday 4 years ago. My parents' kitchen table, a legal pad, my handwriting on an operating agreement I drafted and amended twice to get it right. I had been genuinely glad to help. That part was real. The help was always real. But somewhere between that Sunday and the engagement party, something had gotten badly miscalibrated. I had been so focused on being useful that I'd stopped noticing what I was trading it for, and they had been so comfortable receiving that I'd never made them notice either. It wasn't anger, exactly, that moved me to act. It was something cleaner than that. It was the moment I sat at my kitchen table after 90 minutes of silence in a car and finally understood that I had been behind the scenes not because I was content there, but because I had never made it costly to keep me there. I stopped being behind the scenes the night I understood that behind the scenes is where the actual power lives. My mother introduced me that way, like it was a polite way to say small. It turns out it was the only thing she got right.